So you've got a constraint. Whenever, I mean, I do a lot of different things. I do film scores, I do video games, I do lots of things, and they will give you whatever project you are doing. They will give you a set of constraints. So they will say to you, if you're a composer or if you're an arranger, whatever you are, you know, if you're working on any given project on music, they will say to you, these are your constraints. And if you're working with those, it might be time. Okay, one constraint is time in terms of, and that works in two ways with this group. We've got to do maybe an hour and a quarter show, something like that. So if we say we've got an hour and a quarter to think about, and we've also got to think we're doing the show on Saturday. Okay, so that's one constraint. Another constraint is the fact that we've got 12 people. I mean, that's not including me, but let's say 12 people. Okay, and you've also got an audience.
More than 12.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully. Yeah. No, you've got a full house of people, right? So then the other thing is actually, when you say 12 people, it's quite interesting because if I'm writing for an orchestra, I think, okay, everyone's got to be interested in what they're playing, because what you have is, if you have an orchestra, you'll get quite often people who will sit there if they're not doing anything for a while, and they'll start reading a paper or they'll start doing something else. That happens with orchestras. It's incredible how orchestras work. If they don't find something interesting, they can actually let you know that they're not finding it interesting. So you have to write for each person. So you've got to think in terms of all the people being interested in what they're doing. You've got to think in terms of how they're going to get across the composition. But the biggest constraint of all is the composition. And the thing about the composition is that everyone has to respect the composition. If the composition is not absolutely paramount to everything else falls apart. And that's what will happen. We won't get the time to